I've been looking at some of the industry reports by BGA and, there was a recent one by Helica and Pantera Capital and so on and so forth. And, a couple of things that are standing out is that there's been a huge investment now in Web3. I think that's starting to pick up again. And I'm told the number is something like 2.3 billion that got invested last year in Web3 projects. Likewise, a huge amount of valuation of gaming airdrops, which I'm told is upwards of 500 million last year. And, thirdly, we are clearly seeing a lot of the Web2, large gaming studios now making an entry into Web3 with some very serious intent. And further, there is a lot of infrastructure getting set up, right? I mean, you have Immutable X and you have so many others who are now creating platforms which makes it much easier for creators to onboard with a lot of tools available. So they can just focus on the game part of it, and everything else, including access to players and so on, is really provided, by the platform. So clearly we're in a very exciting phase. And therefore, many people say that in the not too distant future, I think the terminology of Web3 and Web2 will converge, and we will just talk about gaming and not really Web3 or Web2, right? Therefore, this business is exciting. It's growing very fast, super competitive. And therefore, I'm really curious to know, given the space of growth that's happening in Web3 gaming, how is Pentagon Games differentiating itself?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So I think it's something that we've been looking at. It's not, I would say, we didn't just came out of, one day we're going to do this. Our team has been building in the Web3 space since 2017. Our very first game and IP is a fully on-chain game on Ethereum. So which means everyone was paying something like 0.0002 to 0.005 ETH per transaction, and spending like 1,000 transactions when ETH was still like less than $100. But of course now, that's no longer possible. But and over the years, during the first cycle, the first scaling cycle, Polygon and BSC came out. So that's why we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then of course the subsequent cycle, there's a play to earn cycle, there's a metaverse cycle. So having through all of this cycle, we really see that it does come in waves. So which means that we are still building some foundational tech. Like some people come to me and say, oh, NFT is dead. Look at Bored Ape Yacht Club, like or the Azuki, like the biggest NFT, out there is still, not worth anything. But I think for us, it's fundamentally really embracing and understanding the core technology, which is what exactly does NFT bring to the space? Although you may have the investment sentiment that's down, but I think if you look at it, is foundationally NFT bring immortality, or that essentially the collections are now immutable, which means what it really means is you can now take a digital picture and now make it a real life collectible because you have the forever history on the blockchain. So it's really the first time, I would say, it's even better than collecting a collectible card. Because if you have a collectible baseball card, I may do a very good photocopy of whatever. Most people won't even be able to tell it's a copy. But however, on a blockchain, everyone can, with a little bit of skill set or understanding, able to verify to say, oh, this was created at a certain time. So I think the property of the blockchain is so powerful, and that over time we look at each thing to say, okay, what are we going to invest in? And it's not just go single cycle hype, but will last in multiple cycles. So I think the differentiator for us is, we invested in a whole bunch of technology companies. In the first cycle, we invested in the original staff of Polygon. Later on, we invested in multiple other major chains like Avalanche. And the last cycle, we invested in something called Oasis Games. But when during the last cycle, we also saw, almost the last two cycles, we saw a lot of bridges getting hacked. So we started investing in, bridges, and also just adjacent technology that we work with. So of course, when we do that, we are both adopting that technology as well as using it. So I think overall, that makes a lot of sense, because all of them, I would say 90% of them, it comes back to fruition, which means stuff that we work with, that work doesn't just last one cycle. So I think that kept us keep going and knowing where we're investing. Just one last thing is, So other than the blockchain stuff, we really then pivot into during the 2 cycle ago, there was the metaverse cycle. We don't think that's going away because we definitely seeing, not just in the Web3 industry, even in Web2, there is a lot more AR, VR adoption. We're talking to a lot of real estate companies, including the ones that we're working with directly, not yet announced, is that a lot of people come to say, hey, before I sell my house, I want to create a VR experience for my pre-sold houses. And I would like that to be interactive. So we do see not just Web3, but there's several other pillars of technology, which we're investing a lot, which is, the metaverse, virtual creation of worlds, enabling that to experiences for brands. The Web3 portion, and of course AI, which I don't want to talk too much about because I think we all know AI really took a major adoption the past a year and a half to 2.
Right. No, I think that's wonderful. And I think I really like what you said about investing in technology to be able to last multiple cycles, because that's really the key, because everything seems cyclical. So a lot of people are tending to do things for a particular cycle and then trying to monetize their business for that. But I really like your vision about investing in technology for the future so that you're future proof. And how do you make NFTs, metaverse, all that continue to be relevant as you march forward as far